Alright, hello there, Grim. It's, good to see you. Feel like, our paths don't cross very often, but, nice to have you around, I suppose. So, the general idea that I had for this stream is I'm probably going to start out with the, questions I got off of Curious Cat, because I can answer those on website as well, and I won't be getting into the proper meat of the stream. Alright, I understand. Sounds good. Alright. Yes, so, gonna be working on the Curious Cat questions, and then after that I'll move into proper trailer analysis. So, the first question off of Curious Cat is, how long have I been cooking? That's a good question. I'm trying to remember the exact number of years. I didn't actually take a look at these. I took a look to the point where I knew I had questions, but I didn't actually look at the questions themselves. Let's see. Let me just count backwards in terms of my age. So, 4... probably around 7 to 8 years at this point. Obviously, I haven't been cooking consistently or professionally for any long point of time. Obviously, it was just a bit of a side hobby, but around that long, probably. See, okay. I just had the horrifying sinking feeling that I was worried my mic wasn't actually on, but obviously it was. Grim responded to me. So, second question is, what would my D&D class be? I'm assuming that means me as a, myself, rather than what D&D class do I like to play. Although I think the answer is actually pretty similar. I would probably be monk class if I had to guess. Hello, Pyromancer. Right now I'm going through Curious Cat questions before I move into the actual trailer analysis, just in case, because I know a lot of people aren't here at the beginning of my streams, so I'd hate to jump right into the main body of what I'm doing before anyone's gotten a chance to arrive. And since I can answer these, it does. I definitely changed that in the info. I guess the, what is this? Quick actions did not take. There we go. Should be fixed now. Alright. Is the stream title correct? The very, very, very late Elden Ring trailer analysis? It looks like it is. Well, so everything seems in order now. Alright. I don't actually remember if I answered this question in its entirety, but the second question was, what would my D&D class be? And that would be a monk. If we want to dive into specifics, like the subclass, it would probably be a shadow monk. I've never actually played a shadow monk before, but it seems like something that would be interesting to do. I'd definitely like to try it. Let's see. Third, favorite relaxing anime to watch. Let's see, if we want to go with relaxing one, what is it? Tanaka-kun is always listless, I believe? Yes, that's the one. Tanaka-kun is always listless. Very, very casual, light. No. It's just a lot of fun, really, isn't it? Alright, question the 4th. What Pokemon would best suit my avatar? Let's see. I do tend to like psychic Pokemon a lot. If we're just going off of my favorite Pokemon in addition to, you know, my style, it would probably be Gardevoir. But just to, you know, move away from the realm of, I guess, standardness of that answer, possibly... Hello, the Coding Dragon. Good to see you. I don't believe we've met before. Oh, what's its name? Larvitar? No. Larvitar is the middle evolution, right?
Wow.
We have not. Okay, well. Good to have you. Oh no, Larvitar is the one that I was thinking of. Yes. No, Tyranitar is the final evolution. Larvitar is the one that I was thinking of. Because Larvitar is a lot more... yes, the very short, small one. Let's see. So, for context sake, I'm assuming you might have been brought in by the stream title, Coding Dragon. Right now I am answering some Q&A questions that I got before I launch into the full analysis for the Elden Ring trailer. Let's see. Favorite cooking cuisine? I believe this is the 5th question. Yeah, pupitar. That's what. Because, it's larvae and pupa. Obviously for Larvitar and Pupitar. And Tyrant for Tyranitar, I suppose. Not that that has any real connection to larvae or pupa, but still. But alright, favorite cooking cuisine? That one's pretty tricky. I tend to cook most ranges of food from many different cultures. But I do generally tend to enjoy East Asian cooking, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, that sort of area of food. I definitely cook Chinese style food more often than anything. Obviously it's probably not, proper Chinese cooking. It's the version that's in the West. So, Western Chinese cooking. Yes, so... For specifics, I am half orc, half incubus, hence the skin color and demonic appearance. Mixed and matched. Yes, thank you for giving me a shot, I suppose. Let's see, 6th question. Why do we struggle? I'm assuming this is a reference to something. What is... Why do we struggle? I actually went with the hybridized name Orcubus, but you feel free to use whatever you like. Why do we struggle? It's reminding me a lot of the line, why do we fall, so that we can pick ourselves back up again? Struggle, it also makes me think of, what is it? Guts' title from Berserk, The Struggler. But why do we struggle? We struggle because it's all we can do. Let's see, what song lives rent-free in your head? As of recently, the one song that's been playing on loop for me is... What is it? I'm Still Standing. That song. Very specifically because it was used is... What sort of style is it? Not chiptune. But it was sort of like minimalistic piano version of that song was used as a backing track for a live stream I watched recently.
Come in.
Oh, Thank you for the follow as well, Coding Dragon. Glad you decided that you'd like to see more of this. Let's see, best ice cream flavor. This should be question number 8, I believe. And then one more until I get into the actual meat and potatoes of today's stream. So, probably the type that I enjoy the most is Cherry Garcia, the Ben & Jerry's flavor. Yes, thank you. I've said this a couple of times before, but that is actually never a compliment that I received until I started VTubing. It just never came up. And interestingly, I started getting that compliment out and about after I started VTubing, and not just from people who know me from what I do here. It's a very odd occurrence. I'm not entirely sure what caused it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I actually started talking more often. That could be one of the reasons. But right, I was talking about ice cream. Cherry Garcia is my favorite flavor. I don't get it very often because it's very expensive. Ben & Jerry's ice cream costs a pretty penny. And I typically tend to prefer sherbet more often than not. Dairy-based ice creams are a bit heavy for me. I tend to prefer the frozen ice variety of frozen desserts more often. And the final question is Coke or Pepsi? Well, I mean, I know the answer, but I'm just hesitant to say it in case there's anyone who's incredibly fanatical that I may alienate. My answer is Pepsi. I just prefer... It has a slightly sharper sort of flavor to it, whereas Coke tends to be a lot more sweet. And I prefer the sharp bite that Pepsi has over the just general sweetness of Coke. But that should be it for this segment. And we can move over... Oh, just a second. I'm going to... No, just a second. There we go. This is going to be a bit odd because... See, I think about that size? I'm trying to match the, sort of dimensions here. Alright, so I'm going to transition over to this scene. Here we are. Now I can get up off of my knees so that it looks... There we go. So, here we are. The first thing I'm going to be doing, because I finally got everything working properly, I actually worked it out just before I started my stream today. But I can actually show video properly now. So, here we have... Actually, you know what? I should probably start with... the first trailer. No? Okay. So this is the very first reveal trailer for Elden Ring. Released in 2019, I believe. It's got some very nifty dialogue, but the reason that I'm showing this is because it has quite a lot of details in it. Actually, how's my audio compared to this? It looks like I'm a bit above it, which is good. So this is definitely an important character being shown here. This is some sort of king. Oh, you know what I just realized? Elden Ring. Okay. I suppose I can actually just go over very basic details at this point. So I'm assuming that most people that are here have heard of the Dark Souls franchise. A very popular series of games, 1 through 3. Pretty well beloved. I'm a very big fan of that franchise, and the company that produces those games is called From Software. They also made Bloodborne and Sekiro, and a bunch of older games that no one thinks about anymore because Demon's Souls is really the beginning of where everyone's knowledge is. People have a vague understanding that they also made Kingsfield and Armored Core games, but not too many people have played those, or even know that, really. And Elden Ring is the next game that they are making. It's set in a completely new world from Dark Souls. And one of the things that FromSoft is known for doing in their games is creating very weird... Yes, I remember you saying that you've played Kingsfield before, Pyromancer. I was actually thinking that I might try and stream some of the Kingsfield games at some point. Just to see what it's like. Probably during August, honestly. Because I have a interesting idea for the upcoming months. But, as I was saying... yeah, let's move off of that image. Not the best. Okay, we'll stay on this shot. This is nice. We don't have to watch a person inserting his hand into a disembodied arm. What was I saying? Right, this is their newest game. There's been a, several year gap between the release of Dark Souls 3, the last Souls game that they put out. Actually, Sekiro came out after Dark Souls 3, right? When was that? I don't know the date specifically, but I've been waiting a little while for a new Souls-like game, or Bloodborne-like game, or whatever this ends up being. And I'm pretty excited for it. And one of the things that they do often is they have very intricate little lore that's hidden in details and a lot of very interesting stuff. So Hidetaka Miyazaki is the director of From Software. He's the one that's been in charge of almost all of the Souls games and Bloodborne and all that. And interestingly, they also got George R.R. Martin involved in this project. He's done a couple of interviews, and we know specifically what his role was in the development of this game and its story. George R.R. Martin, for anyone who's unaware, is the author of the... what are they called again? The books that became a TV show that everyone loved and then hated shortly afterwards. Because the TV show did not nail the landing because George hadn't written it yet. It's the one with the dragons in it. What was it? I don't keep up with popular culture very well. 2019, 2016, yeah. So Sekiro was a Song of Ice and Fire, right? And that's the name of the books. But I feel like it's known by a different name. Like the TV Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, that's the one. Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. That's the series. George R.R. Martin was the creator of that. So, that's interesting. I suppose I can... Yeah, was the title... I am aware of that. I actually own all of the books on audiobook. And I've only listened to the first one. I haven't gotten around to the rest of them yet. But I'll just talk on what George's involvement was in the creation of this world, because he talked in an interview. He was in charge of creating a framework for the story. Yes, we are. I assume by that reaction you are interested in Elden Ring, or at the very least From Software and their other titles. But George was in charge of the framework. So he created the entire backstory for the world, and apparently his work in the project was finished many, many years ago at this point. and From Software has just been iterating on what he wrote down or wrote about, and they've sort of constructed the world that came out of the backstory that he wrote. Which is a pretty interesting way of doing things, I suppose. And I definitely trust Miyazaki and his team, you know, creating a world out of that. So, I will just resume. Oh, wait. I should actually turn off my BGM, because that probably doesn't work too well alongside this. But here we go. Yeah, so he finished his work a while ago. And this is a pretty interesting thing, because this king we see here will be shown in the second trailer, but he has accumulated a lot more arms. I also just remembered I don't have my headphones plugged in, so I'm worried I might be getting some audio doubling. And I will stretch as I am plugging in my headset as well. I haven't been going for too long, but never hurts to be limber. Okay, there we are, there we are.
Giving life its fullest brilliance.
I had my volume up very high, and that hurt.
Elden Ring.
Alright.
Oh, Elden Ring.
So I'm just gonna pause here really quickly to take a look at this arm. Interesting. I'm not entirely sure, like I can't really zoom in here, but this arm is still, you know, a human arm for the most part. It's got fingernails and fingers, and you can see skin the same color as what's on the rest of her. But it's all blotchy and sort of rotting looking. And interestingly, that also carries over to what looks to be some sort of scale armor. I'm not entirely sure what that is. But you can also see here, there are some blotches on her neck that seem to be slightly similarly colored to what's affecting her arm as well. It's just a little detail I noticed. I don't know how important that really is. I'm wondering if it's a similar gameplay mechanic to, or not even gameplay mechanic, but lore feature as the rot from Sekiro. And also, this blacksmith character and the other blacksmith character that appears later on in this trailer, this one here, the woman blacksmith, they aren't featured at all in the second trailer, which I find somewhat peculiar. And I'm wondering if they are, because his body, you can see it cracks more as he's breaking whatever it is he's breaking, quite possibly the Elden Ring. So perhaps they are sort of like old gods. Alright. Let's just pause on this title card for a little bit. So my sort of interpretation of what sort of happened there is that those are possibly old gods that are created by... I think there... It seems to be like there's two. Because there is... like this one here, which has like a... like they have different colored hair. This one has a ponytail that's swept to the side in the front. And this one has a ponytail that's to the back. And this one has sort of like blondish looking hair. But this one seems to have red hair. Perhaps it's just a trick of the light. But from what I could, like, from my interpretation, it looked like there were two separate blacksmiths. Perhaps I'm wrong in that assessment, but it just seems, because, like, on this one, Here, you can see the braiding goes up the head. You can see the braid goes, like, up the head, but on this one, there is no braiding up the back of the head. It's just loose hair there. I could be mistaken, but it seems very like FromSoft to do that sort of thing. Like here we can see this one slightly closer up, and like it has much less defined braiding. From Software does stuff like this. Unclear. And also here's the logo for the game. It's got, what is it, 4 rings? However, as we will see in the next trailer, so that was the first trailer. Alright, and now moving on to the second trailer. So this was the gameplay reveal trailer that happened a couple of months back. Alright, and we have what I'll probably be referring to as the Firekeeper, this character here, because she seems to fulfill a similar role to the Firekeepers from the Dark Souls games.
Will soon return. Guided by grace.
But I have a whole bunch of
once lost
screenshots and things to go through from this one. So I don't have too much to say as it's running.
To its core.
But I'll probably jump back and forth between the video and the screenshots, since I only have, you know, very specific screenshots of the trailer to look at. The screenshots were actually a precaution just in case I couldn't get the video working. But since I took the time to get them, I might as well use them.
Search of the Elden Ring. Emboldened by the flame of ambition.
Something else that I want to talk about is the potential bosses that appear in this trailer, and quite possibly the roles they fit into the story.
In an unending curse. For how else is a champion or a lord to be born?
Well, a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord.
Alright, and here we can see the king from the first trailer who is collecting arms. He seems to have expanded his collection a considerable amount.
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
That's actually a point of interest that I had, was looking for every single scene that had the tree in it. We know from interviews that it is called the Urd Tree, U-R-D. Alright, but here we have the same 4-ring pattern, as well as this sort of semicircle up above that seems to be either pouring or sort of melting down through the center of it. And one of the theories, I suppose, that's going around is that Elden is what an ancient Germanic word, or based on an ancient Germanic word at the very least, that means fire. So it could possibly, the name of this game could possibly just be Fire Ring, which sounds like it could be referring to something sun-like, or something very important, because it seems unlikely that the Elden Ring itself is just a physical ring. In the first trailer, they were obviously talking about the Elden Ring has been shattered. Look up at the sky, don't tell me you can't see it, I believe are the exact words that are used. Which I find interesting. Because I believe, at the very least, there are scenes that take place during the daytime, but it always seems really cloudy and overcast. I see. Here we can actually see the sun. So it's obviously not the sun has been destroyed. It's a bit too straightforwards. So I'm wondering what specifically the Elden Ring could be representing. But for now, I'm going to be hiding the trailer and moving over to images. And the one blacksmith, there's a strange woman that is on the tree, and Elden to age grow older. Okay. Let's see. So the first thing I actually wanted to take a look at is... Let's see. So here we have the logo. And one of the things I wanted to take a look at are the different ways that the logo is breaking over here. So we can see the G seems to be crumbling, sort of like dust, which is similar to how the blacksmiths died. But over here, it's breaking and floating upwards. And if you put a pin in that, I'll actually jump forwards a few pictures. It reminds me a lot of this environment, where you can see that things are breaking and floating away and floating apart. And also, interestingly, here in... Oh, wait. Are the images not showing? I had this working earlier. Photos. I've just been talking about pictures that you can't even see. I legitimately had this working. Let's see, I think I might have to do that. No? Yes, it's most definitely not a part of Elder Scrolls. Alright, maybe if I shut it down and reopen it. No? Still not working? No, that's the settings for window capture. This is bizarre. Well, my main worry was that I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be able to show the video, but now I can't show the images. How the turns have tabled. Yes, but the other thing to consider is that Elder Scrolls is made by Bethesda Games, and Elden Ring is made by From Software. Two companies that are based in different countries and different continents that have very little to do with each other. It's some pretty wild speculation, that's for sure. Alright, let's go back a little bit. Let's see, okay, so I'm just going to move back to this screen and then back here very quickly. Has that done anything? No, not really. Automatic. Do title. I haven't changed any settings post and pre-stream. I have no idea what would have caused this to stop working. It's just supposed to be capturing my photos, right? Ooh, what is happening? Okay, well, since that's not working, let's just bring the trailer back and use that as a reference. Oh, I wonder if I need to close that in order for the images to come pick up? No? I'm very good at messing things up. Alright, well. Recapture things. Close windows, reopen windows. If I need to try everything before it works, then so help me. Alright, well. Back to plan, I guess, pre-A. Since this was my plan before I made my backup plan. Alright, official gameplay trailer. So, first things first. Let's see, let's get that logo. So, here we can see, my mouse is showing up on screen, right? Good. Oh, also, try and center the projector a bit better. There we go. So, on the G here, the only real detriment is that I can't zoom in, unless I can. Nope. Alright, no zooming in, so I'll just have to, hope that the visual quality is good enough that you can see what I'm trying to say. But, the G here is cracking in a similar way that the blacksmiths did, and it's drifting downwards. But the I here is breaking and floating upwards. It's a lot more clear if I can zoom into it, but unfortunately I can't. And the way that that is breaking, reminds me of something else that I might be able to find if I just had a picture of it. This is why pictures would have been helpful. What is it? It's the broken building. I think it's actually really early on. Here, let's just play it for a little bit.
Guided by grace.
Drop the volume.
Once lost. The golden order is broken.
This one here. So it reminds me of the way that these building bits are breaking and crumbling towards the sky. Not... I feel like that marks this as a fairly significant place. But this also leads into this back here, which is the symbol for the Elden Ring game. But you'll notice that there are 2 extra circles on this, bringing the total circle count up to 6 rather than 4 that are in the logo. It does look like there are some other sort of semicircles, but if you zoom in, you can trace it and you can see that what looks like additional circles off to the side are just curving roots. But another thing to take note of in this environment are these pillars that seem to be constructed with human remains. Hello, Aaron. It must be pretty late for you right now. I apologize for having the stream start so late. But these pillars are actually a pretty significant sort of indicator of location, because if we go quite a bit later on to this environment, you can sort of make out that this is the same place. The building is broken and you can sort of see that there are floating sections out there. Let's mute this real quickly. And it's more apparent here. Yes, yep. Alright, well, as long as you understand your limits, I won't stop you. But here we can see the broken pillar that is made out of human corpses. And also, just behind him is that wolf knight. I'm doing well. I'm just very excited to be talking about Elden Ring. Is the altar that has the logo, the Elden Ring logo. And also, this statue that I, again, wish I could zoom in on, but unfortunately this is a video, not an image, is a kneeling woman surrounded by 3 wolves that are attacking her. So this is, because of the boss that you seem to fight in this location, I'm interpreting that more as metaphorical. Yes, fortunately, I've not had any problems well, I've had some problems, but nothing stream breaking. Oh my. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying then. But yes, back to the statue then. I'm assuming this is metaphorical because this is... Why didn't that make sound? Do I not have widgets in here? I think I don't have widgets in here. Okay, let me, copy those over from somewhere else. I can replay it myself. Copy. Oh no, I definitely don't mind that. There we go. Widgets are back in. Here, let me get that one for you. 2, 1, 0. Are the widgets muted? They might be. Trigger. No, they're not muted. They're just not playing. Alright. Then let me get you those points back really quickly then. Yes. Well, I've already got the window open. We can get those in later. There we go. You should get 120 points back now. Alright, so. Wolves. And that is not the only time that a wolf appears in this trailer. We also have this wolf here, which is a different one than we see later on. The armor is different. It seems to be quite a bit smaller. And based on the sort of design of it, it seems to be possibly a transformation that the player character can undergo. So I'm guessing that there may be some form of covenant system in place that allows you to become sort of a wolf person. And I'm guessing that that unlocks after you defeat this boss. This one here. If I can get a shot with slightly less rubble in front of his face. There we go. Yeah, werewolf, wolfman. Some form of wolf, yes. He has black and gold gilded armor, and the one earlier had sort of blue and silver. Very Artorias-esque, Artorias being a character from the original Dark Souls. Alright, let's see, where to move on to. Right, so the actual first thing that I wanted to talk about is, let's see, the Firekeeper. So she comes riding the horse, possibly the same horse that your player character is seen riding. Yes, it's a game from the same creators as Bloodborne and Dark Souls. You can't see the full horse, so it's not 100%, but it's basically confirmed to be the same horse. But since rings seem to be a very important aspect of this game, given that the title is Elden Ring, it seems interesting that she is wearing a ring on her finger, and if you will see later on in the trailer, I can pause it in time, she comes over to the player character, thank you Hidetaka Miyazaki, kneels down and removes the ring from her finger, and then seems to pass it to you. So, I find that interesting for a couple of reasons. I'm wondering if, like, that is, it's obviously important, but I'm wondering how specifically. Because one of the things we do know about this game from interviews with Miyazaki is that the core sort of goal of the game is that you're attempting to gather the shards of the Elden Ring, which are held by 6 lords of 6 different regions of the world. Sort of similar to how in most other Souls games you have to gather Lord Souls or, you know, what is it? Champion's Ashes in Dark Souls 3. I care a lot about this franchise. I have to pay as much attention as possible. So what I'm wondering is whether or not those shards of rings, because, as I said earlier, I don't think the Elden Ring is just a ring that exists. It's some sort of more important concept. Basically, From Software Weeb would probably be the best way to describe it, since I enjoy all of their games. Even Sekiro, and Dark Souls too, even though those are the 2 sort of lower-rated games among their main roster. I love them all equally. But I'm wondering if the Elden Ring was shattered into rings. Just more rings. And I'm wondering if this is just a shard of the Elden Ring that she is giving to the player, thus making them a lord, because, very specifically later on, I think it's around here where the dialogue starts. Yes, Bloodborne I think is probably my favorite.
The Elden Ring. Emboldened by the
Alright. So it's actually when the proper boss appears. Let's see, so if I fast forwards to that section. Here we go. So, this dialogue here.
a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord. I command.
Alright. So, a lowly tarnished playing as a lord. We've heard before that the player character is referred to as a tarnished. Yeah. It does seem to have like it does seem like it's going to have some very good creature design. So the tarnished, I'm just going off of my memories of the interviews that have gone on with Miyazaki. We know that the tarnished are beings that were not graced by the light of the Urd Tree. Or the glory of the ring, or something like that. So you're sort of like an outcast. It's unclear whether or not a lot of people are tarnished, or if like almost everyone is tarnished, if it's like either you are a tarnished or you are a lord dichotomy. But it seems like we are a tarnished that is given some semblance of lordship. And because of that, we are more important now? Oh, that's unfortunate. You rest up then, Aaron. But I think that's probably what the ring is. And the ring is probably tied to our respawn mechanic in the game as well. Since I doubt From Software will make a game going forwards that doesn't have respawn mechanics tied into the lore of the game itself. Because they went out of their way to give you a respawn mechanic in Sekiro. And obviously in Dark Souls, you're an undead, you are supposed to rise back again and again and again. But let's move forwards a couple of frames so the picture's a bit lighter. So he is, I believe it's confirmed, one of the lords, one of the 6 lords in the game. And he is some sort of arm collector. Interestingly, this arm, I hadn't noticed before, is... What is that? It's got an extra joint in it. Has his hand's up here. That's probably the wrist, or whatever approximates a wrist in this world. Or for him. This arm's a bit shorter. But also, I'm going to move forwards to where it's... Let's see, around here. Or wait, no. I'm trying to find the giant that shows up. I don't remember where exactly that is. I remember... Oh, there he was. So there's this giant here, who only has one arm. This arm is either hidden by perspective, but there's no, like... He'd have to be holding it behind his back. But it seems pretty likely that that giant just is missing an arm, just based on like the animation that happens there. So I'm wondering what exactly is up with that? Why is this giant missing an arm? And does it have to do with the arm collecting king? Not entirely certain on that front. Also, neat helmet. I actually really like the design. It reminds me a lot of Go's helmet from Dark Souls 1. Who is a giant from Dark Souls 1, Goh, or however it's pronounced. So, that's interesting. I'm trying to see if there's any more information we can glean. It seems to be some Like, there seems to be a fire in its chest or something, because it is casting light. It's slightly, like, burning here. You can see embers on it. It seems like it might be some sort of fire golem or something like that. Not entirely certain, but it also seems to be organic as well. Like, it doesn't seem entirely mechanical. It's just a interesting little detail to note. Right, this animation here. I'm wondering... Alright, this is probably one of my slightly more crackpot theories. But I think that this boss here, the king with a lot of hands, is going to be the first boss in the game. Sort of an asylum demon type boss. Where you are meant to lose to him. Because here you are fighting him sort of in front of this castle. And he has, like, an axe. But later on, at the end of the trailer... Oh wait, I went too far. Yeah. You're fighting him in what looks like a graveyard, which seems to be a slightly different environment. There's still the castle behind him, so I might be mistaken on that front. And he does still have the axe. But he also has a giant dragon head attached to his arm. So I'm wondering if this is when you're supposed to fight him, or actually prepared to fight him. And it's sort of a, you lose to him here. Oh, you lose to him here. Here? Here. Yeah. And this looks like the dragon's head as well. Wonder if one of the higher-up NPCs that isn't our firekeeper is aware of the Tarnished being given the status of lordship, or if they're different degrees of aware. Yeah. So... that's sort of an interesting question to dance around in the back of the head. I would presume that this is some sort of, I don't know, guerrilla warfare tactic. I don't know how else to describe it. But I think the quote-unquote firekeeper is sort of granting you this lordship in secret. Because this doesn't look like, you know, somewhere important. You're lying in a puddle of water, presumably in some state of death. So, who knows? But also, this structure here, the architecture looks pretty similar to the area where you're fighting the arm-collecting king. Let's see, let's move on a bit. I remember there is a scene... oh, right. I actually wanted to talk about the Urd Tree. And how it's shaped. I keep getting notifications. I'm going to turn you off, phone. No more alerts from you. Yes. So the Urd Tree here. I don't think it has leaves. Because you can see the branches here are bare, and these look like they could be leaves on the tree. It's possible. But it looks like there's actually just a portal in the sky above the Urd Tree that gives it the illusion of having leaves on it. And I'm wondering... okay, so I actually just had this thought. And I don't know how correct it would be. But I'm wondering if it's possible that the Elden Ring could have been sort of a halo above the Urd Tree, which was sort of containing whatever the portal is that is above the Urd Tree. Maybe it was a ring around the top of the Urd Tree. Because it looks sort of patchy, and in a couple of scenes, like here, you can't see my mouse, right? Okay. Here we see like little specks of the Urd Tree, or the leaves of the tree, or the light of the tree that are falling. You can see it in a couple of other scenes. Those are birds. That's ash. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what scenes you can see the falling leaves in. Oh, right. It was very clear during the nighttime scene, where you are at a campfire. Just have to very carefully scrub through and find that. Oh. Actually, is there anything here? Any falling leaves in the dragon fight? Does not look like it. Okay. Well, just take my word for it. I don't want to spend all this time looking for the specific scene, but I'll just let this play for now. What else? What else? I had a whole bunch of... The problem is, a lot of my ideas were in the collections of images that I had. Ah. Here we go. So, down here, I can't actually see it on my screen because it's hidden by the playback bar. Whoops. And I accidentally clicked on it. Alright, here we go. But there were those two little lights down there. One blue and one yellow, if I'm remembering correctly. Just stop moving. Okay, yeah. There's one blue light and one yellow light. And my theory as to what those are is we know what the sort of bonfire equivalents look like. I'm trying to remember the name of them. They're called, like, shards of something. But I believe that's what the yellow one is. So I think the blue one might be what the new item sprites look like, perhaps? Not entirely sure. And my best guess for where the Moonlight Greatsword is going to be in this building here. Because it seems the most scholarly. And in most of the games thus far, the Moonlight Greatsword has been kept in scholarly buildings or related to areas of great learning. Seath's Tale. What else? The Holy Moonlight Greatsword. Sort of like church association. Where was it in 3? I don't actually remember. Where was it in... Was it even in 3? It must have been, right? I don't remember. But I just associate the Moonlight Greatsword with scholarly buildings, mainly because it scales off of intelligence stats as well. So if it's in this game, my guess is it's in here. Unless it's in a building we haven't seen yet, of course. Or just somewhere else. So this patrolling caravan pulled by 2 giants. Okay, there's no better shot of the actual caravan itself. But this is something that I didn't actually notice myself. But this sort of caravan, the actual thing here, is apparently the same structure as these here. It looks like these are the sort of what is it called? Burden of the caravan, I suppose. That are being brought to this dragon. And I remember in the Vati video that was put out for this a while ago, that he sort of speculated that there could be arms inside of these, but I don't see why there would be arms going to the dragon. Those would be going to the king, if anything. So I'm not entirely sure what would be in these. He also said this looks like lava. I think this is just the ground on fire. But also, you can see these very distinctive rock structures here, which are very clearly the same sort of structures as these. So it looks like they are on the interior of this caldera, rather. So it could be volcanic on the interior, but it doesn't seem very likely. I mean, for goodness sake, there's trees in here and vegetation. I can't imagine that this is a volcanic caldera. Let's see, what other points are there? Let's see, this Valkyrie woman here has red hair, and also... Where is it? Where is it? It's one of the, like, very few pre-rendered looking sort of cutscenes. I believe it's immediately after this. Apparently she also has red hair, the Firekeeper does. Apparently someone was able to, like, zoom in and color pick or some sort of wizardry. And they discovered that the Firekeeper also has red hair. You can't clearly see it at any point, but apparently it's so. I think it might have been here. Ah, yes. It sort of looks reddish here. But it's theorized that they could be related in some way. And I'm wondering if this Valkyrie is a lord. It doesn't seem too terribly likely. She seems like just a very important boss, but not necessarily a lord. But also you can see that you are fighting her at what looks like the roots of a giant tree or some sort of cave system. And I'm wondering if you are possibly fighting her underneath the Urd Tree, or if this is some other unrelated massive tree system. And also, she's fighting with a sword here, whereas in the original trailer she was fighting with a spear. And also her sword is just a blade. It doesn't look like she has a hilt on it. Which is pretty dramatic, to say nothing else. Let's see. Let me just take a look at the picture set I had. Right, the big hand. Talking about rings, I wanted to take a look at the big hand, which should be somewhere around here. There we go. Big hand has rings on it. There we go. Oh, it's so difficult to get the exact frame that I want to pause on. I got it so carefully. It's the exact frame that this hand turns up on. Alright, here we go. You can see that this ring here, it's got, 4 total rings on the hand? But this ring here has a plate on it. The rest of them are fairly plain gold bands. You can get a slightly better view as it charges the player character in the exact following scene. But it's got sort of a purple gem on it. Just goes by so quickly. And this is pretty apparently some sort of flame spell that the player character is casting. There we go. So this actually reminds me a lot of the stone plate rings from Dark Souls that grant resistance to certain elements. This one obviously looks like it's a dark stone plate ring, so it would protect from darkness damage. I don't know if that's necessarily true in this case. Also, you can see the Urd Tree in the background. I just liked to keep track of the Urd Tree throughout all of this. There's this... I'm not entirely sure what to make of this thing. The giant face that spits fire. It seems like it is, or was, at one point alive. Because this seems like, it doesn't look like it's crafted. It looks like it was once organic and just had its head mounted on front of a chariot. Not entirely certain. It's pretty difficult to tell. I'm trying to even imagine how you could possibly defeat this boss. Lots of fire resistance is my guess. There's that, the eye opening with the Sharingan. I didn't realize this at first, but it is very clearly a Cyclops because it leads straight into a nose, which I think is pretty interesting. Because this game is based in sort of Scandinavian myth or folktale, Cyclopses aren't incredibly common in that area. I don't think so. Cyclopses are Greek. Or at least Cyclops as the name itself is a Greek name. So I'm wondering, so I cast my thoughts about to think of, what one-eyed characters are there in Scandinavian mytho-history. And my immediate first thought was Odin. So I'm wondering if this is some very important one-eyed sort of god figure. Because this is either a cutscene to introduce a boss, or possibly... I'm trying to think of a good comparison. But there are a couple of cutscenes that introduce you to good characters. I doubt this is a good character, though. Look at how scraggly and how much hair it has. This is obviously some sort of enemy. Yes, and then there's all... Oh. Bit of weird artifacting going on there. Let's run it back real quickly. There we go. And we have this sort of giant here. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. It seems to be potentially buried in or encased in something. Or it could just be peering around a wall. Okay, this hand. What is it? Alright, right after the giant. Alright, so you have the player character wearing absolutely no clothing for some reason. The only time the player character is ever depicted this way. And you have a giant three-fingered hand grasping at the player character. This reminds me of... What was I going to say? It reminds me of Frampt or Koth from Dark Souls 1. How they would swallow you in order to bring you to a new location. My guess is this is something similar, where you are, or the amygdala from Bloodborne, where you are grabbed and brought somewhere else. Or even the giant straw doll from Sekiro, who steps on you and brings you somewhere. I don't actually remember how you get transported around in that game. It's been a while since I've played Sekiro. But this seems to be some sort of transportation. I doubt this is a boss. And also, I just find it interesting how it's three-fingered. It reminds me even more of the amygdala in that sense, because they also had a peculiar number of fingers, although they had 6. To denote their higher state of being, or something like that. I don't know specifically why. Also, this character here, where is it? You see him earlier. I think it's in this set of flashing images. Immediately after the giant? No. This is the sneaking section. With the guy with the really big, goofy bobblehead. I paused it on the one frame where you can't see it. Whatever this helmet is, can't wait to wear that in-game and have it give me some sort of weird, obscure effect. Ooh, this one. Right, so this is my favorite boss, because this is definitely a boss. This is my favorite boss design that's shown in the trailer. I like the deer skull with... Like, if you just sort of look at this, A lot of these antlers look like they end in, like, flowers or hands. It's very peculiar looking. It's possibly just a trick of the light. Also, there's these other spectral deers that are just wandering around in the forest below. I'm very excited to fight this boss. Right, here we go. So this shield here, with the spike coming out of it, looks like some sort of horn. The flat-topped helmet with the curved sickles on the side. This very large broadsword. He's guarding this woman here. And I was trying to find him because it is the same figure that you see here with the wings. Same sort of spiked, curved, long sword, helmet, everything. This one looks like it's wearing red armor, whereas this... Yeah. I mean, it's sort of red-ish, but it's probably possibly the exact same one, unclear. But also, interesting painting in the background, some sort of king. My interpretation of what this is here, this exact setting, is it's probably some sort of covenant, if I had to guess. It doesn't look like a boss fight. The room is too small for that. Like, it could be a Demon's Souls style boss where you have to kill her, but you are being stopped by the night. But that doesn't really explain why the night grows wings later on, and seems to fight you in a completely different environment. So I'm wondering if she summons these knights, if this is actually a real being. What is it? The knight actually also reminded me of... Right, that was something else I was going to talk about. I entirely forgot because it was on pictures and I don't take notes. Because I don't prepare for anything. But the connections to Berserk. He reminds me of Mosgus's Angels. Alright. I'm just gonna do this once more and hope that it works. Bring up a picture. Image. Right. What if... just remove that... Ooh. Hello, sound effects. Right. Create a new source. Where was it? Image slideshow. I'll just choose the images directly. Source. Where do I want to grab it from? Give me the oh, there it is. Image files. Add files. Let's see. So this is in Elden Ring. References. Select the folder, please. Alright, well. Alright, well, I'll just select this one. Didn't even work. Just doesn't want to show images, I suppose.
Greetings to one and all.
Oh, Myojin!
Please enjoy your stay.
Hello, hello! Welcome, Raiders. I'm currently talking about Elden Ring. I hope you're interested in that. And I was trying and
Please
failing.
come in.
Oh, thank you for the follow. Let's see. Suno Shikano. Ah, Beidou. So I'm assuming you are playing, the gacha game that everyone loves, whose name has flown my mind. Yes. But I'm being unable to load images right now, so I'm just sort of describing things. Albedo. Every time I hear Albedo, Genshin Impact, that's the name of it. Every time I hear Albedo, I know they're talking about Genshin, but it just makes me think of that isekai anime, Overlord. Right. And now the full screen option isn't even working. Everything I do today is cursed. Yes, Overlord, it's the anime with the man who reincarnates as a villain. Where he's a big skull man. And he becomes an overlord. I've not actually watched too much of it. I don't know what happens. I just know it's called Overlord, and there's a character named Albedo. So that causes me a lot of confusion a lot of the time. Alright, well. Now that the slideshow failed, I can get rid of it. Yes, it's good to have you here. I'm glad you could come along and bring some of your viewers. I'm doing quite an experimental stream today. I normally don't do this sort of thing, where I'm talking about just something in general. So it's a new experience for me. Let's see. The biggest shame is that I can't show any examples of these things. Because right now I'm talking about the, potential Berserk inspiration in Elden Ring. And specifically Mozgus and the Urd Tree. And also, oddly enough, there's this one innocuous little scene. Where is it? It's when the main character is in the caves. There we go. This face on the ground. It reminds me of a fairly important character out of Berserk called Ganesha. Or Garnesha. It's different enough. Yes, it's Ganeshka, that's it. It looks a lot like Ganeshka, which is a sort of evil deity from the Berserk series. And I'm wondering what's so special about this cave that has something that could potentially be incredibly significant, if my interpretation is correct, that is. Let's see, since a bunch of new people arrived, why don't I just play back the trailer again, so that you can see what I'm talking about in its entirety. Since I'm assuming not all of you are aware of Elden Ring, given that you came along in a raid, and didn't come here based on the title of the stream. Elden Ring is from Software, Hidetaka Miyazaki, who are the creators of the Dark Souls franchise, and Bloodborne and all of that, so I'm incredibly excited for the release of this game, and there's probably a whole bunch of hidden little secrets, and I'm here to try and uncover as many of those as I can.
The Golden Order is broken to its core.
Oh right, there's the room with a bunch of arms in it. I was going to talk about that too. I'll go back there.
Emboldened by the flame of ambition, someone must extinguish thy flame.
Yes, I was going to talk about this earlier. It's just a minor observation. My guess is that this is the first boss of the game. I said that the arm man was the first boss, but I think that's more of a you're meant to die. I think this is going to be the first boss that is just a normal boss fight, no hidden stakes involved.
Fight. And they will die. In an unending curse. For how else is a champion or a lord to be born?
Well, a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord. I command thee now!
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
I also like the, what is it called? The leitmotif that they have for this game. So if anyone is interested in this game, come back to this channel on January 1st of, January 21st of 2022. And I'll probably be playing this game for many, many hours in a row. Because I am absolutely obsessed with this franchise. So, that's the entire trailer. There was one earlier trailer, but I don't really think I'll need to go back to that. Let's see. So I was nearing sort of the end of what I had planned. I was going to take a look at this environment here. So you've got sort of this swamp area down here, which is probably, what is it? This area we see here, with the waters and the sort of small figure wearing this interesting looking sack over their head. Which, again, I think might be a reference to Berserk, but I can't show the images because for some reason they just don't want to show up on stream. But he looks like one of Mozgus's torturers, or the torturers that it works under the employ of Mozgus from Berserk. Just an observation, not actually super crucial to anything. Possibly tied to, you know, the larger lore of the game, but nothing that I can say right now. But also, this is potentially the area that you start the game in, because you start, I'm assuming this is the start of the game at the very least, you start the game in sort of shallow water with, you know, reeds and low plants, but the scenery that you can sort of see around it, here, let me mute this, because I'm going to be talking, the game audio isn't incredibly important. Let's see. It's really blurry here, but it looks like this is a rocky surface here. There are a whole bunch of sort of shallow water environments that you see throughout. Alright, but here we go. I'm curious about what this is. It seems to be relatively close to the Urd Tree. And it's got this giant bowl here. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with this enemy here, who is a man wearing, well, it's basically Smo from Dark Souls, who has a giant bowl atop his head. And also, something that I wanted to point out, the weirdest weapon design that I've seen in any Dark Souls or Dark Souls-esque game. This weapon looks like it belongs in an MMO. It does not look like a Dark Souls weapon. The color scheme is completely mismatched with his design. It is bright red, whereas his body is sort of like a burnished gold looking, or bronze, or brass almost. And he has just big flaming, not even flaming, it's just fire red. It's just odd to me. So I'm wondering if those two the location is tied to this sort of NPC that has a similar looking adornment on his helmet. Also, this is the, what is it? The curved greatsword that we see, let's see, this one using here. It is the same blade. You can see like the wrappings around the base of it. It's pretty difficult to see. Also, I was trying to find this scene earlier, where you can see the little petals of the Urd Tree falling. This was something that I mentioned earlier, but I don't think the Urd Tree has leaves. It looks like this is just something that appears near the Urd Tree. Oh, recipe of the week, Japanese curry. If you want to provide me with a recipe, that's perfectly fine, but I also have a recipe that I follow. I've made Japanese curry a couple of times, so I can definitely do that one. Again, for anyone who's still around from the raid, one of the things that I do is I cook a fair amount.
Okay,
oh, hey.
let's party!
Sound effects are working. But I cook a lot, and I post the finished recipes on my Twitter account. So yeah, if you want to send me a recipe, go ahead. If not, I have one that I typically follow myself. Alright, can do. Also, hello Aqua. I didn't say that earlier. Good to see you. See, also the moon. Moon is very big in this shot. Nothing really else to say about that, I just think it's fun. What else do I have? Oh, right. This here. I'm not entirely sure what's happening here. It looks like this is just a pile of rocks that is being suspended by some sort of lattice work? Or beams, rather? Or it could be a collapsed castle wall, now that I'm looking at it. These look like columns, possibly. So it's a collapsed wall that's creating a bridge over this chasm. Very video gamey design. Also, the summons. So this is something that I obviously don't know myself. It's something that I've gathered from other people's information. But summons in this game, you can summon NPCs. Or not NPCs, but enemy characters. So these summons that are coming are enemies. You can apparently capture the spirits or some sort of equivalent of enemies in this game and re-summon them to fight alongside of you, and you can level them up and sort of improve them as the game goes along. And apparently they can only be summoned in specific locations. Now, I am not the one who found this out, but this obelisk here, that you can see on the right side of the screen, appears in a couple of other locations. It is, let's see, right here, in this boss fight, and it's sort of glowing with a blue energy. So it looks like this is the signifier of locations in which you can summon NPCs or whatever the summons are called in this game to help you fight. And I believe they're in a couple of other locations that you can see throughout the trailer, but I don't specifically remember them. Yeah, so just looking at this section of building here that I just randomly skipped to, it looks like this is the same asset, almost, or geometry, same geometry that's used on the underside of the cliff. It looks like the pillars are in the exact same formation. The shape looks to be similar. Also, those look like wind turbines up there, but I doubt that's the case. You know, in this medieval fantasy game. Let's see, what else? Oh, right. So this dragon is probably an example of a wandering boss, I'd assume, because its design is too unique for there to be two of them, or more than one, because it's got the two wings. It looks like it's made out of stone, pretty similar to how, you know, dragons are in From Software games. They love their stone dragons. But it looks too unique to be one of many, really. But you see it again here. This is the same dragon. You can see it's got the four-winged design. There's the second set of wings. It's kind of tricky to see all four wings at once. There we go. But this seems to be the same dragon, and you're fighting it in an entirely different area. But something to note as well is that the sky here is dark, dark red. So I'm wondering if you're fighting it in a different location because you have progressed the game world. So early game, you find it in the mountainous area where it's shown earlier, here, alongside these mountains, which I said earlier are nearly identical to these mountains, these geometric formations jutting up in a diagonal. Yeah, it's very similar looking. So I'm assuming that's where it is in early game, but then if you don't kill it, so if you don't encounter the boss and you say defeat some other bosses or explore different areas, and you progress the state of the world into a slightly darker one, where the sky is red like this boss then moves to be slightly closer to where the Urd Tree is, because it seems to be fighting you pretty close to the base of the Urd Tree. Let's see, I think in the next shot, yeah, you are very close to the Urd Tree here. Like, it is nearly covering half the screen when viewed from above, or from below. Oh. I just skipped to this exact scene, and I'm noticing that there's some sort of pattern on the back of the cloak. Wonder if that's sort of a clan insignia or something like that. Anything else? Alright. I'm going to refer to my pictures to see if I had anything else highlighted specifically. Because I'd like to get all of my talking points down. Let's see, Urd sightings. Ooh! Right. So, where is it? It's the scene that looks like a pre-rendered cutscene with the Firekeeper. There we go. So, you can't see the Urd Tree here, but these are probably its light beams. And judging from how they are angled, it looks like you might be right behind, or right in front of the Urd Tree. Because its light is shining in front of you, so you have to be pretty close to it in this area. I'd assume, at the very least. Because it's pitch black, so the only light source that I can imagine this being is the Urd Tree. So I'm wondering where or when that is. Let's see. Take a look at the dragon attack as well. So there's this dragon, which is a fairly classical Dark Souls dragon. And there is a distinction in sort of From Software's lexicon, I suppose, between dragons and drakes. Dragons have 2 legs, 2 arms, and some number of wings. Normally 2, sometimes 4, maybe even more than that. But that's what a dragon is in sort of From Software's terminology. A drake has 2 legs and 2 wings with no arms. And let's see if I can find the scene where you're getting fire breathed on you from above. It's like right next to the giant, so it should be, what, around here? Yeah, here we are. So the Urd Tree is right here. It's pretty difficult to see because it's very fast and it's surrounded by fire. But you can very clearly see that this is also near the Urd Tree. Nothing really important about that, I just think it's interesting. Because it's just sort of hidden. And when I was going through this, taking screenshots and planning things out, I would find every single time that the Urd Tree showed up on screen. And since it's so large, it's pretty difficult to tell how close or far away from the tree you are. But you seem to be relatively close here. See. Those are the major sightings there. Let's see. Dragon Forest, Red-Headed Giant. Right, that's all of the bosses that I wanted to talk about. Take a look. Backgrounds. Not too much. Oh, let's go to the arm room really quickly. Here it is. So I zoomed in on this picture, because it's pretty difficult to tell what's actually happening. I think this is a head here that is looking off in this direction. That's an arm. Those are legs. And this is some sort of big billowing cape. But this seems to be a very, like, grand sort of figure. It doesn't look at all like the king who collects arms that you see that says lowly tarnished playing at being a lord. But nevertheless, there are a whole bunch of arms just hung from the ceiling in this area. Arms seem to be an interesting sort of linking point for a lot of things in this world. And I'm very curious as to why. What significance do arms have here? And I don't think there's really any answer either, as far as I can tell. This tomb looks interesting. There's not too much to say about it, really. Looks like it'd be fun to explore. Sideways mountains, underpass. Alright, I think I'm actually nearing the end of what I wanted to talk about. I have something called weird stuff. Right, the tower, the ground face. See, do I have anything dramatic to leave off on? I don't know that I do. Yeah, so my weird stuff folder was the...
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I am very excited for this product. Very excited for this product. I am asking very few questions, and I assume it will be high quality. Just shifted my weight. Oh wow, I skipped to the exact cutscene. So this was the first weird stuff that I had on the list. It's the lady and her knight. I don't know if this is a boss or a covenant or just a normal NPC, possibly a side quest. It's very nebulous. All I know is that it is possible to fight this knight and he grows wings. But he's in a different environment. Also, these lights, the candles themselves are red, but the light cast by the candles is also red. I don't know if that's thematic or what. I'm also going to guess that she is probably a vampire. Because she reminds me a lot of Annalise from Bloodborne, the Queen of the Vampires. Queen of the... was it the Vile Bloods they were called in that game. But that's my only reason for thinking that she is a vampire. What was the next on my list of weird things? Oh, the Bobblehead Man was the next one. That's a bit earlier, I think. Yes, this guy. Who's got a crystal on his head, and a staff and a book. Oh, right. Let's see if I can't, constantly replay something that happens. Okay. Ooh, that jumped back a lot. I just want to go back a couple of frames. But you can see... it's so hard to catch. So here... you can see the bobble-headed man is raising up with a book, because it looks like he's going to hit you with the book, which is, once again, another Berserk reference. And again, another Mozgus reference, because there's a very famous panel of Mozgus hitting someone in the head with a book, which seems to be exactly what's happening right there. What else? The dome and the towers, the ground face, new souls, I suppose. Let's see. So you can sort of see it here in this scene, where you kill the centipede demon-looking thing, where it sort of glows a little bit and it seems to be doing something. But specifically here, after that creature dies, you can see this sort of swirling mass heading towards your player. This is probably your player collecting whatever the currency is. I'm going to... let's see. I want to guess at what it's called. My guess is that they are called blessings, rather than souls in this game. Because in Bloodborne they were called blood echoes. In Sekiro it was just money. And in Dark Souls it was obviously souls. But my guess is that these are called blessings, based on the fact that things have been described as being blessed by the Elden Ring or the Urd Tree. And you are a tarnished, a being who is not blessed by those things. So my guess is that you are collecting blessings that are then used as currency. I could be entirely wrong, but that's just my initial guess. Let's see. I suppose at this point I can just finish off by seeing if anyone has any questions about everything I've gone over. Because I covered a lot. I've been going for nearly 2 hours just talking about this one... how long is the trailer? Not very long. 3-minute long trailer. But if there are no questions, let's just head to the title card, I suppose. Not in general, but... yes. While you are preparing your question, I will take a look to see who is live. Oh... I sure wish the raid channel button showed not just the highest view counts. What drew me to this game? I suppose I can talk about that. So, let's see. Obviously my interest in this game stems from the fact that I played Dark Souls previously. And what drew me to Dark Souls, was I don't remember exactly who it was, but I remember I saw someone playing Dark Souls. And at the time, I was playing Skyrim, or Dark Souls 2, actually, not Dark Souls 1. At the time, I was playing Skyrim, and I had been playing it for a very, very long time. And I had almost just run out of things to do at that point. So I was like, oh, I'll give this a chance. It looks pretty similar to Skyrim. So I got Dark Souls 2 because it was like, oh, it's one of those games where the numbered sequels don't matter. I was thinking like, you know, sort of a Final Fantasy type setting where it's like, the games are numbered, but the numbers don't mean anything, which is sort of true, honestly. Well, at least in the case of Dark Souls 2, it's almost completely detached from Dark Souls 1 and 3, whereas 3 is very clearly a direct continuation. And I played Dark Souls 2 and I was, you know, even though people say it is the worst of the franchise, I was immediately hooked. And I played Dark Souls 2 for hundreds of hours. And then I got Dark Souls 1, and I played that and I loved it, and then I think Bloodborne was out next. I actually, fun story about Bloodborne, but I did not have a PS4, and Bloodborne is a PS4 exclusive. So how long did it take me to get a PS4? Around a year and a half, I think. Because I had to, like, wait until I could afford it, because I had very little money at that point in time. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And eventually I, you know, had enough money to actually get a PS4 and Bloodborne all in one fell swoop. I avoided every single piece of Bloodborne content I possibly could for an entire year and a half. The amount of self-restraint I exercised for that year and a half was the most I've done in my entire lifetime. And it definitely paid off. But I'm just excited for Elden Ring because I've been starved of Bloodborne or Dark Souls or all that sort of content for a couple years now. Especially since the Elden Ring trailer, the very first one, the reveal, they were the trailer that said, "We are working on Elden Ring. It'll come out in the future." That came out in 2019. Any of the remasters? I played Dark Souls Remastered. I haven't played Demon's Souls Remastered because I don't own a PS5. Which I'm probably not going to get for a little while because I have a PS4, it does its job. I don't really need to play Demon's Souls immediately. I'd like to, but it's not incredibly high on my priority list. Especially since I don't have any way to stream it either. I could use the built-in streaming software that the PlayStations have, but you know, then I can't do all of the things that I do on, you know, for a PC stream. So it's not incredibly high on my priority list. I suppose this is actually a pretty good time to make this announcement. I don't know how many people here are going to be around, but my birthday is on August the 15th, and I am planning on playing the entirety of Dark Souls 1 for an endurance stream on that day. So if anyone's interested in seeing all of Dark Souls 1, come by August 15th. Yeah. So I suppose I have an announcement to leave the stream off on, so that's a fun thing. Yeah. So that's probably going to be it for me. Let's go visit Kojiro. Looks like he is doing some modded Minecraft. I think he's alone. Doesn't look like a collab, so let's see. Just drop my raid message, so if you would like to copy that and say hello to Kojiro as we drop by his stream, that would be appreciated. But, for me, yep, good night then, Myojin. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day if you're going to sleep. I hope you sleep well, but that is going to be it for me. It's time to bid you all adieu. Good night.